Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Publicly Buzzed Live on a Tuesday night. Special edition tonight. This is an edition that is going to be, well, as you can see, it's after 10. Usually we go on at 9 p.m. Eastern. But I wanted to accommodate my brother tonight for this new doc drop that we're going to be going into here. What's going on, Dan?
What's up? Ready to get into this stuff.
Me too.
There's a lot to go over.
Me too, man.
Insane, man.
There's so much stuff endlessly going on in this case. A new doc drop that happened yesterday. Yeah, we're going to jump into that, but yeah, how you been doing, dude?
Hanging in there, doing all right. Busy with work this week.
Drinking tonight?
Already ready for the weekend, to be honest.
Dude, me too.
Yeah, I'm having a couple though, just to loosen up a little bit for the show, but that's about it.
Nice. Yeah, I've got the Crown tonight. Randomly on a Tuesday. I usually don't go all in on a Tuesday, but I've got the Crown. Before we do dive into this, I want to promote Friday night show, guys. And of course, Thursday night at 9 p.m. We're going to be on here as well. But Friday night show is going to be awesome. We're going to be celebrating the 5K that we elapsed last week. I think we hit 54 today. Thank you all new people that have come through. Thank you so much. Appreciate the hell out of it. But Friday's show is going to be special. It's going to be cool. We're going to have a special guest on here. Jay from The Shaming of Jay is going to be coming through. He's been on the show once before. He has a dope ass channel. He's hilarious. He has a great Twitter as well, a great TikTok. But he's going to be coming through and hanging out with us that night. And it's going to be a little bit of a different show. I'm just going to say, please come through and hang out. And I don't think that you're going to be disappointed. It's going to be a fun one.
Have some fun with it. Yeah.
It's going to be good. And I see everybody in here. Almost got 100 in here. As you come through, guys, please hit that like. Really helps us out in the algorithm as we go through this. If you come through and you're new to us, if you're just finding us, please sub up. And if you do, please hit the 3 dots on the side and make sure all notifications are clicked. That's super important. YouTube is terrible. And even if all notifications are clicked, they're likely still you're not going to get notified, sadly. But it will help if you at least hit all notifications there and share this out as well. YouTube really enjoys that. Yes, I see you guys in here. Jessica Christie, Firefly, Sam, thank you for modding. Appreciate it. True Crime with Dago, who has been freaking killing it during the days with this case. I've been hanging out in there. Mary, Angel, Dan, thank you guys all. Love it. But yeah, we do have a lot to get into, so we're going to dive in. Real quick, though, looks like Heather's coming through. 1 month membership. Bam! Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Love it.
Love to see it.
Welcome to the party, pal. Love it. Oh, shit. Travis coming through. Here we go, baby. Well, look, get us this out of the way. Oh, shit. Actually, I'm not even popping them up on screen. Give me 1 second. Fix that. Boom. Forgot about that part. Make sure you guys get the recognition you deserve real quick. Go back up top. Heather. Bam! With the 1 month. Travis. Bam! Coming through. Buzzed and confused. And Mikey, yes, also. What's good? Thank you, sir. I appreciate the hell out of it. All of you guys. Love it.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Killer. Killer as hell, man. You guys are insane, quite frankly. I don't know why you're hanging out with us, but I'm glad you are. I think you found the tribe, guys. But yeah, today is a day that we're going to go over some stuff. We're going to go over initially what came out yesterday. Craziest thing that I've been tweeting about today, going back and forth with Dan as well. Dan is in this now. Okay, Dan is deep. Okay,
deep. I used to kind of just show up and do live reactions to the stuff that we're covering, but they sucked me in. I'm deep. I'm doing research now, and
it's awesome as fuck. It's the best. Yeah, it's really good. It's an angle and a bit of logic that honestly I don't see in a lot of spaces in any community. I'm just going to say that. So I'm really excited about it. But yeah, he is in right now, and this is the new stuff's coming out right here. State of Ohio versus Bryan Kohberger. I'll just read through this again. I was tweeting about this today. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have already watched a lot of videos on this as well. But yeah, the following response to the motion to compel discovery. By the way of background, as the date of this response, the state has provided the following discovery to the defendant. So yeah, they were saying that, we need more, all of the material in this. And this is the state saying approximately 10,000 pages of reports and other written materials, 10,200 photographs, and 9,200 tips has been turned over. And the staggering, we've talked about this, I've seen this one debated all day, 51 terabytes of audio and video of media and digital materials. Now, we were talking about that earlier. That is a fucking staggering, insane, astronomical amount of data.
Yeah. So I did a little napkin math, and it was something like so if you I've allegedly downloaded 4K movies before, and it's about, I don't know, maybe 6 gigabytes or something for like a 90-minute 4K movie.
4K movies are big, yeah.
About 6 gigabytes, something like that. So if using that as an assumption, that would be 51 terabytes of data would be 300,000 movies.
Yeah.
And then continuing the napkin math, it would take, to watch all those movies would take 19,000 days, or somewhere around 51 years. That is
19,000 days.
That's how astronomical the amount of data we're talking about is. Now, I mean, to be fair, they probably have like 3D reconstructions of the crime scene. They probably have animations of what they interpret to have happened, things like that. Those things could take up a lot of data. But I mean, still, even if we're talking, I bet they have submitted weeks worth of video footage, like almost constant, if not completely constant streams of video footage.
Oh God, yeah.
Days and days and days on end. I mean, 51 terabytes is seriously insane to fill up, especially when you're, I mean, like I said, animations and things like that is going to take up a lot of data. But if we're talking about video footage and audio files, man, it takes a lot.
I have a couple of 1 terabyte hard drives. And it's specifically for movies. I'm a huge movie guy, and I have one that is completely full, and I need to count them just to honestly put a number on this, because they're not 4K. They range from honestly 720 to 1080. I would assume, maybe even some worse quality, but there is at least 500 to 1,000 movies on there.
Yeah, man. A typical 1080p movie is probably like a gig. Yeah,
dude. Like that is a lot. But that was extremely interesting.
There's 1,000 gigabytes. I mean, a lot of people probably think of their data storage in terms of gigabytes, because that's what we've been hearing, most of our lives. Terabytes is actually more of a more recent thing within the last 10 years, people getting terabyte hard drives and things like that. But so
AZ just said warrant for 9 days of UPS video from Moscow, from all Moscow UPS trucks. See, that's what I'm thinking it is. I'm thinking it's data from these buildings. Yeah. I'm thinking it's data from every camera that they have gotten access to, whether it's a home, business, traffic lights, any kind of data. And dude, is it like whole days worth of? And if it is whole days and they are giving over this much astronomical data, would there be timestamps, or would they make them be digging through it?
Probably also laptops, right? Computers.
Oh yeah, all the
these.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, I mean, if those laptops or computers had full terabyte hard drives in them, there's a terabyte of data right there that they're probably including. You know what I mean? What sucks here, this is actually pretty significant, because what sucks here is 51 terabytes of data for the defense to go through is insane. And it mentions earlier actually that if you go back to the kind of towards the top of the response. So, like the very first line here, by way of background, as of the date of this response, the state has provided the following. So it's actually pretty significant to read as the date of this response, because there's actually been speculation out there that possibly they had this already and they filed the motion to compel discovery just to kind of get evidence out there in the public, right? Well, I don't think that's the case. I think that they actually filed the motion to compel discovery because they didn't have it yet. I mean, this specifically states that as of the response. So that actually means they could have provided this right before they sent this response out.
Yeah, I saw somebody else alluding to that too. Could this have been done between that little time frame?
And it absolutely could have.
And we were talking about before this. I've seen a lot of people, alluding to a lot of different things, and even some professionals that we've been seeing on, Twitter and YouTube. A lot of the lawyers and stuff that talk about this stuff. There is some shadiness, kind of a vibe to what's going on right now with the state, right? Even in your opinion.
So yes. So they've given over now 51 terabytes, and not including the documents and stuff. I'm just talking about the hard drive, how insane that is going to be to go through or not the hard drive, but the terabytes of data. I mean, now the defense has to go through all of that, and it hasn't been whittled down. They haven't done any favors for the defense, right? Now the defense has to go through basically everything that they've had to review and pick out the pieces that they need. Hopefully, maybe there's some documentation along with it, like, timestamp data, but maybe not. Maybe the defense actually has to go through this, piece by piece, and imagine how long that's going to take.
Yeah, how many
for them to build their
bodies
case.
are you going to have on this? Like, you'd have to have. I mean, I couldn't even imagine, dude. 19,000 hours. But again, a lot of it could be like really large, like renderings, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
there wouldn't be like
the
actually
19
footage to be watching.
The 19,000 day, like I prefaced that. I mean, that was just some napkin math, like just trying to demonstrate how large 51 terabytes is. I mean, there's going to be lots of other types of content on there to make up. And like I said, hard drives. They're like almost every computer nowadays has a terabyte hard drive in it. Well, that's only 51 computers, right? So maybe, I mean, I don't know how many computers they've seized in their investigation, but
Somebody said
that's probably
100. I don't know if that's an accurate number, but I'd say it's a lot though.
Well, I mean, if you've got a 1 terabyte hard drive in your computer, that's 51 computers.
Right.
That's 51 1 terabyte hard drive.
That'd be
But
crazy.
anyway, it's an insane amount of data.
It's a lot, man. We'll continue through this piece right here. The defendant cites the ICR 16F in support of its motion. However, that rule only refers to the procedure for responding to discovery requests. ICR, I think I said IRC, but ICR 16B, 10, and K apply to requests for discovery orders. With the above in mind, the state respectfully submits the following specific responses to items 1 through 6. Okay, 1. The state has disclosed all items it is aware of relating to the search and arrest of Bryan Kohberger in Pennsylvania. The state is unaware of any body cam and dash cam footage beyond what has been disclosed and on information and belief. Understands there is no body cam footage. Recordings of interviews, the defendant's and the defendant's transportation from the scene of arrest have also been provided. So yeah, they're saying, no, I find that, and I know a lot of people, other people, and I even saw, again, professionals saying how crazy that is, right? There's no way that he was arrested by a SWAT team and nobody had their body cameras on, right? That's fucking weird as shit.
Apparently, Pennsylvania is not required to use body cam.
Wow.
But I mean, it's up to the disclosure of the office. I'm sure they can absolutely use them.
God, something that important.
I would imagine they were using them. I mean,
you would think that in Pennsylvania, because he's going back to Idaho, that's the whole thing. They're going to want to see this. Like,
not only that, but it's a potentially dangerous situation.
Exactly. Yeah. Anything can happen.
They're apprehending someone who has allegedly murdered 4 young students. I mean, that's someone who might be willing to go out suicide by cop.
Right. Yeah. That's a very
go to prison for that
sketchy situation. You're absolutely right.
They should have had body cams.
So 2, numerous lab reports regarding forensic evidence collection and analysis of items recovered from the defendant's parents' home, trash cans, and other receptacles in defendant's vehicle have been disclosed to the defendant. These reports include items from the FBI laboratory that's in Virginia, and as well as in the Idaho State Police Lab. The defendant's attorneys and investigators have also been given direct access to view and inspect the items seized from his parents' residence, including his vehicle. The state will continue to disclose additional reports it receives that are subject to discovery under ICR 16 and applicable case law. To the extent that the defense believes that certain reports may contain exculpatory information, the state asks that the defense specify what exculpatory information that they are referring to and the basis of their belief, so as to enable the state to make any appropriate additional inquiries. So they're saying right there that they haven't actually stated exactly what they need, right? They're just saying you have something, and they're basically saying we're not sure what that something would be. So here's 51 terabytes. Find it. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I think it was in the original motion to compel discovery. I think they mentioned something within the car being exculpatory, possibly being exculpatory. So I think that might be what they're referencing there.
Regarding the defendant's request labeled 2A, in addition to the above response, the state has inquired of the defense for clarification on ISP lab reports by number, since there is a question about some duplicate numbering of the initial lab reports. ISP lab reports are separately numbered by forensic biology, DNA prints, and forensic field services. The state has already been able to advise defense counsel that there is an ISP lab report 25 which has been discovered. And there's another ISP lab report 11, which is pending review and approval at the lab. To assist the parties, the state has initiated specific inquiries about the status of all ISP lab reports and will make discovery to defense as appropriate. So they're almost talking like they're not even done yet, right?
Yeah, and I mean that's plausible, right? Of course, they're probably still running. They're still building their case. So
Right.
There's still things that they, haven't. But that's kind of the point of discovery. As things become available, they're supposed to hand it over. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the future we see things to be delayed for them to hand over, right?
Yeah.
It really does feel like they're kind of stalling things a little bit.
Yeah, that's the whole vibe here, and I think that's what's triggering this entire community right now. Is that that this vibe is real, and it does feel shady, and it's not. I mean, because there's a lot of people that are on the fence about this. There's a lot of people that are on either side of it, and that's just adding fuel to the fire there. Real quick, Gina, I saw coming through with a membership. Thank you very much. Pop it up here. My two favorite boys, Stevie and Ricky. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Good stuff. Thank you, Gina. Always funny as hell. You're going to love, first of all, you're going to love Friday's show. Okay. Make sure you're here. I think you're going to really enjoy it. Let me pop back over here. Okay. 3. The state has provided recordings of Moscow Police Department Detective Payne's interview with Mr. Kohberger to the defense, which I would love to hear. The state will provide any related reports and or notes as they are received and reviewed. 4. With item 1 above, the state has provided the defense with reports, audio, video, and other recordings related to the defendant's arrest and incarceration in Pennsylvania that have been received by the state. No, hold on. As with 1 above, the state has provided the defense with reports, audio or video of the recordings. So it's almost like, I mean, I guess that would be him actually going into the jail. Maybe they're talking about, but that almost makes it sound like there would be. Well, there probably is dash cam footage, right, of that incident.
Actually, if you scroll back up, that's actually an important part that we mentioned, but kind of didn't elaborate on, where they talk about the body cam footage. I think it's up a little further, right?
I've lost it.
Again.
Oh, here it is. Yep, right here. The state is unaware of any body cam and dash cam footage.
Okay, so hang on. Okay, yeah. So let's keep reading that. So the state is unaware of any body cam and dash cam footage beyond what has already been disclosed. All right. So that's one. Let's take that as one solid statement. So they're saying that they have already disclosed body cam and dash cam footage, but then they continue that it is their no.
Oh,
Stay right there.
Sorry.
It's the same sentence, but
yeah.
I'm trying to break it up so it's more easily understood.
Gotcha.
And then based on information and their own belief, they understand that there is no body cam footage. So they explicitly say there's no body cam footage, but they do not explicitly say there's no dash cam footage. So that leads me to believe, that wording leads me to believe that they have actually disclosed dash cam footage, but they do explicitly say there's no body cam footage.
Right.
Which is weird, but that's what they're saying.
Let's see here. As with 1, this one I just read. 5, the state has provided a copy of the report/memo referred to as request number 161 to the defendant. The state is unaware of any notes, recordings, or paragraphs. 6, the state respectfully submits the training records of specific officers are outside the scope of ICR 16 unless and to the extent that the officers will be offering expert testimony, which is discoverable under ICR 16B10. The state is willing to reconsider its position upon a proffer by the defendant as to each officer under ICR 16B, showing substantial need in the preparation of the defendant's case for additional material or information not otherwise covered by this rule, and that the defendant is unable, without undue hardship, to obtain the substantial equivalent by other means. In the event of such a showing, the state asks that the court enter such protective orders as may be necessary and appropriate to protect the confidentiality of the personnel records and other sensitive information. As the state
I find that piece a little interesting as well. I think that's another stall tactic. They asked for resumes and training credentials and things like that of officers involved in the case.
Right.
And they're refusing to hand that over if they're not going to be a witness. Why do they need that?
They're wanting to pick every single person that was involved with this apart. Dude, I really probably honestly think that his team and Taylor, and I know they just got a new person involved as well. Like, they're probably leaning into this whole internet hysteria a little bit.
Yeah.
Dude,
I think so. Yeah.
It would be smart to.
So what I think is significant about this part right here is it's another stall tactic. They're requiring the defense to submit motions to have access to this information. They're not giving it up right now. They're stalling so that now the defense has to go back, file another motion. They have time to reply, and if it's deemed necessary, give up the information.
Yeah,
it's stall tactic.
Yeah, dude.
They're trying to make the proceedings of this case take as long as possible. From my interpretation of this document, that's the vibe I'm getting. That's the feeling I'm getting from it.
I think that's what a lot of people are getting. As the state has indicated in its responses to prior discovery requests from the defense, the state has and will continue to provide discovery in accordance as applicable to the law. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weirdness in this.
Yeah.
All right. So where do you want to go?
The other one, the next.
Oh yeah, I've got that one pulled up here.
Yeah, this is the juicy stuff. This is this is what everybody's talking about.
Yeah. Idaho Kohberger again. All right. Please take notice that the undersigned pursuit to Rule 16 of the Idaho Criminal Rules, the 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th, and 14th Amendments to the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Idaho requests discovery and inspection of all materials discoverable by defendant per ICR 16B18 and the aforementioned constitutional provisions, including but not limited to the following information, evidence, and materials. And you were doing your legwork, looking up a lot of this legal jargon as well.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
Yep.
Standard lab discovery 1, biological testing case file. Please provide a complete copy of the case file, including all records may be made by each laboratory in connection with biological testing in this case, including.
This is the motion to for discovery. To compel.
Oh shit! Hold on.
Yeah, this is the wrong one.
And this was the old one. Hold on.
It's the remember it was it's the image from Sleuthy's.
Oh yeah.
Twitter.
This one, wasn't it?
No, that's the search warrant.
I think it's maybe.
It's not a doc. I think you just took a name. I don't know what you did. Did you say?
I might have lost. Can you get that for me? Actually,
yeah. It was on.
I did have Sleuthy's Twitter up here, and then I think I exited out of that. My bad.
Let's see.
Just 1 second. Thank you everyone for hanging out here. I see. Oh my God, there's almost 300 people in here.
Oh shit!
Hit that like, guys. Help us out. Appreciate y'all for hanging out.
There you go.
There's no way I'd catch up with all that. Thank you guys so much. Seriously, if I'm missing something. 1 second.
Chat's getting wild. I haven't had a chance to really look at it too much. I saw Detective John's in there. I saw he said he had a bombshell.
Oh, yeah, it was the second page. That's right. I don't know why I got rid of that.
There we go.
No, I'll read this for you. Yeah, in regard to the specific request. Oh, yeah, hold on. I'm stupid. I had it right here. That's, dude.
There she is.
I'd forgotten I'd blown it up. Okay.
You got some super chats to go over anyway.
Okay, give me a second, guys. It gets crazy. Let me get these pulled up here real quick. Oh yeah, thank you guys so much, Mikey S. The 220. Better be worth my $2. John has a bombshell. Okay, hold on 1 second. Is he dropping it in here right now?
I'd be interested to hear.
Iron Range Rube with the $10. I just got home and had to start from the beginning. Cheers, fellas. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I was giving you a beer. I'll give you a beer anyways.
Nice.
I'll probably make everyone thirsty. Thank you so much. So what's going on in here? What's Detective John got? I have a fan club. They know you, man.
That is true. When he pops in, everybody wants to hear what he's got to say.
Get hyped up. Hold on. All right, let me go back to reading this. Give me a sec. All right. In regard to the specific request for standard lab discovery, the state has already provided the defense with everything it has received from the FBI lab. The state has also provided the defense with approximately 30 reports from the Idaho State Police Lab. The state has provided the Idaho State Police Lab with a copy of the defense's standard lab discovery, comprised of paragraphs 1 through 10, and will supplement discovery as appropriate. The state specifically objects to the request for personal related information as outside the scope of ICR 16 unless and to the extent of the lab personnel will be offering expert testimony which is discoverable under ICR 16B10.
That was another thing they requested, and I don't know how normal that might be. They've requested credentials and experience for basically everyone who's worked with the DNA on this case.
Yeah, they're wanting. We were just going over there a second ago. They want to pick apart this whole thing, like from. I mean, every single person that appeared, and we've already seen like some of the stuff that happens in this town or the city rather with the policemen. They're wanting to dive into these guys' whole careers. It's pretty wild, man. We're watching something unfold here that's. I mean, in 20 years, there's going to be a bunch of movies made on this for sure. This is crazy.
Everybody's hollering about Detective John wanting to come on. We got to get through this for if we do call him or however that works. We got to get through this first. We put too much work into it.
Yeah, I'm not just jumping off here. Thank you for being here, though, Detective John. I'd like to talk to Detective John personally, though, before I have him on here. I've had some emails with Detective John. Call me. You'll be the first to hear it, bro. There's a lot of trolls out here is what I'm saying, guys. I would need to know for sure. And I've been getting trolled. Everybody has. True Crime with Dago, $2. True. Great job tonight, guys. Thank you. Bo. Thank you, sir. Great job yourself, man. You're killing it every fucking day out here. On top of this shit. Seabolt coming through. What is happening? Another badass channel as well. Seabolt Speaks. Let's go give my man a follow. All right, sorry. In regards to the defense's request for, here we go. Genetic genealogy testing and search. The state objects and intends to separately file a motion. Now, I've heard this name mentioned earlier about that lawyer, Lemon in Motion. Am I butchering that?
Maybe. I think
Lemon in Motion. The chick that was on the Pascal show for protective order under ICR 16, as will be more fully detailed in said motion. The state believes that the defendant's requested discovery is outside the scope of ICR 16 and that it does not tend to negate the guilt of the accused as to the offense charged or tend to reduce punishment for the offenses as contemplated by ICR 16A. It is not relevant. It is not material to the preparation of the defense. It is not intended for use by the state as evidence at trial, and none of the documentation being sought belongs to the defendant as contemplated by, again, ICR 16B4.
All right, so there's the first. No, hang on. There's first. There's the first red flag. So, how can the prosecution determine what the defense can use to build their case? What's relevant to build their case? That's up to the defense to determine.
Yeah, dude. Exactly. Like if there's something that's a part of this that at any point in time that they feel like that they could help their client with, their defendant, why would they not?
Exactly.
That's again with the weird games and shit, man. Like,
I mean, I got a couple of points to make since we've already kind of got into the first half of it there. A couple of points to make about this is why would they specifically want to exclude this information? First of all, let me see if I want to try to explain, because I've seen a lot of what I think is misinformation out there. People saying this is excluding all of the DNA evidence. That is absolutely, based on my interpretation, not what this is saying. Okay? Here's what I think is going on. They are excluding the genealogy, which is exactly what it says. The genealogy tests and reports. Okay, so what they did, they had DNA from a knife sheath. Idaho couldn't pull a profile off of it. They sent it over to a third party. I can't remember what they're called now, Orthram Labs or something like that.
The one in Texas.
They use a different methodology. They're able to pull profiles from smaller amounts of DNA, which was actually speculation up until this document came out. I believe it was back in January or February. Someone, basically a leak came out from someone who's close to the investigation, saying that they had to send the DNA off to a third party to get it analyzed and pull a profile of it. Anyway, that's been reported on, but that was technically speculation based on a leaked source up until this document. This document basically confirms that now. So anyway, back to what I was saying. I think they got the DNA. They sent it off to this third party. They get the DNA profile. They were already suspecting Kohberger. Kohberger was already their number one suspect based on the vehicle, the pings. They found him at Washington State. Found out he drives the Elantra, the front license plate, all that stuff we've been talking about. I think they already had him on their radar. So they confirmed their suspicion by doing this genealogy report. Okay, so basically they already have their DNA profile. Now they're comparing that DNA profile against databases. Think 23andMe. People send in their DNA all the time to these, and there's several companies that do it that cooperate with law enforcement. I know 23andMe is one of them for sure.
Yeah.
So now they have basically public databases, maybe not public, I don't know if that's the right word for it, or private databases to compare this DNA profile with. So they build a family tree from that. They find close relatives to their suspect, and they narrowed it down to Bryan Kohberger's family, right? That no tests were involved in that genealogy research. No, like actual scientific testing. They already had the profile.
Yeah.
They just went and compared it to these databases that are collected through
Until
these
they found a match with
third-party
family
companies. And then they narrow it down, and they basically used it to confirm their suspicions. They didn't use it to. It's not mentioned in the PCA. It wasn't used to complete the arrest. What they did use was so after they do that, they go and they raid the trash at the Kohberger residence, and they weren't lucky enough to get Bryan Kohberger's DNA. They got the father's DNA, so they used that to connect, and it says 99.99% that this is the father of the suspect. That is the part they use in the PCA. That is the part that they use that they mention everywhere. They never even mention the genealogy report.
Yeah.
So now they're saying it's actually not relevant. It's not relevant to the case at all. Which, I mean, and they may be onto something, and we're going to get into the laws here in a second. But in my personal opinion, Bryan Kohberger deserves to have, and the defense deserves to have, every bit of information
100%,
they use.
dude.
It doesn't seem right, and it seems very shady that they are refusing to give over this information.
Yeah. Like, I can see actually why, like, while it fuels the flames of this. Because it is fucking weird.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that they're explicitly saying we don't want to hand this over.
And the lawyer, earlier I mentioned this right before we went on live, says, typically, normally in this type of situation, the state isn't playing hide the ball. Like, they're not trying to play games or tricks. And he even said there's aha moments always. That will happen. But I mean, that's not like a typical thing. Like, they're not like holding stuff that could help this man have a fair trial is ultimately not cool whatsoever.
It's shady. It's
and
suspicious.
Fucking weird.
Yeah. So real quick, they do mention, well, we probably don't even need to go over those, but get to the part where they mention, where did we go?
Oh, hold on, I got you. Let's see here. We were at the end down here, weren't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got about halfway through it, I think. It is not material. Yeah, it's not material to the preparation of the defense. It is not intended for use by the state as evidence. That's another point they're trying to make. They're not going to use it, so why does the defense need it? And none of the documentation being sought belongs to the defendant, as contemplated by ICR. We don't need.
And they're going to get
one.
this. Like, this is more game playing, really.
And this is kind of what I was touching on before. Genetic genealogy research does not constitute reports of examination or tests under ICR 16B5. So can we pull that one up? Can you pull up the ICR?
ICR. Which one again? There we go.
It should just, it's the big long one. Yeah. And then, what was it? 16B5?
16.
Or 6. The whole thing's, never mind. It's B and then 5.
Gotcha. think it's
1,
right
2, 3,
here.
4. So, or was it
Reports
4?
of
Actually?
examinations and
No,
tests.
this is it. It's
Yeah.
B5. So, on written request of the defendant, the prosecuting attorney must permit the defendant to inspect and copy any results or reports of physical or mental illness, physical or mental examination, sorry, and of scientific tests or experiments. That's the key right there. Made in connection with the particular case that are in possession, custody, or control of the prosecuting attorney, or the existence of which is known or is available to the prosecuting attorney by the exercise of due diligence. So they're referencing this rule here, and this is the Idaho criminal rule. So on written request, the defendant can ask for these things, right? And they're talking about physical or medical examinations. Well, this doesn't fall into that category. So they go on to say, you changed it.
That's number 5.
So they go on to say scientific tests or experiments. The genealogy research does not fall under those either. So that's why they're referencing this specific rule, and it makes sense.
Wow.
Now, and just to be fair, this is not to say this is lawyer stuff, right? This is not to say the defense is not going to bring up a bunch of reference laws as well in, to fight this, to try to get that report. I'm just going off of what we have right now in this document.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's super interesting.
So you can go to the next part now.
Where was that?
So that's where they talk about B5, and then any genetic genealogy research is exempt from this part. Is super interesting, guys. Any genetic genealogy research is exempt from disclosure under ICR 16G2. So go look at ICR 16G2. This is the part where it gets a little weird, but I actually think I might have figured it out.
16G2, informants.
Informants. So disclosure must not be required of an informant's identity unless the informant is to be produced as a witness at a hearing or trial, subject to any protective order or subsection L of this rule. Is it L? I think it's L of this rule, or a disclosure under subsection B6 of this rule. So they're saying they're denying it because of informants. Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? It turns out if they build a genetic tree, family tree from this research, the people that they link to Kohberger are considered genetic informants. So it actually does make sense.
Yeah.
So it actually seems like they may actually be allowed to exclude this.
Because we had heard about informants early on, and we're like, what the hell? Because it's just when I hear the word informants, I'm not thinking of anything like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, that's super interesting.
But the thing is, I mean, they have these people. Like, let's say they connected him to a cousin, and that's how they basically confirm their suspicion. Well, they have the cousin's name. They've got information on the cousin. Under this rule, the identity needs to remain hidden unless they're being called as a witness, right? I mean, I don't know how they provide the report if they don't provide the names.
Yeah.
And the father does not fall under this. I just want to make that very clear.
That's actually was what I was going to ask.
The father doesn't fall under this what they're talking about here. The father, I believe, the father's DNA and that analysis and that testing, I believe that has actually been handed over to the defense. I think they have that. I think that's included in the stuff that they said they've handed over in terms of lab results and things like that. They were specifically talking about the part where they took a DNA profile, which came from the
trash
suspect DNA. No, the knife. The knife.
Oh, okay, the sheath. Yeah.
So they've taken that profile, they've built a family tree to basically narrow or confirm their suspicions, and that's where it ends.
Yeah, that's what they took out the gate to the company.
That's all they're talking about here. That's all they're referencing in this part of the document. People are thinking they're throwing out DNA evidence altogether. People are thinking they're throwing out the knife sheath altogether. That is not what's happening. They're literally only talking about this very small piece of the puzzle. They're being very specific with their wording.
Pop this back up.
And then they also reference IRE 509. This was also pretty important.
IRE 509. Is that this one?
No, that's 403.
Here we go. Got it.
Yeah, this one.
Yep.
Rule of privilege. The United States or a state or subdivision thereof has a privilege to refuse to disclose the identity of a person who is furnished information relating to or assisting in an investigation of a possible violation of a law to a law enforcement officer or member of a legislative committee or its staff conducting an investigation. Who may claim. The privilege may be claimed by an appropriate representative of the public entity to which the information was furnished. This is the connection they made. This is the cousin or uncle they found, or whatever it may have been that confirmed their suspicions that it was Bryan Kohberger. Exceptions: voluntary disclosure. So if you volunteer to disclose the information, informer as a witness. If an informer appears as a witness, they mentioned that they're not going to be calling witnesses from this genealogy research. Testimony on relevant issue. If it appears in the case that an informer may be able to give testimony relevant to the issue or the criminal case, that's not going to be the case either. This is just a random family member. So all of this is starting to make sense now. Scroll down some more. We don't need all that 3. Keep going.
Oh.
Is there a 4? We're good on that one.
Yeah.
But then they reference some of these other ones, like they call it a waste of time, which of course they don't think it's relevant to the defense, and they actually think it's going to actually look at. I think it's 403. The court may exclude relevant evidence if it is positive. Let's see. Yeah, this was actually interesting. The court may exclude relevant evidence if its probative value is substantially outweighed by danger of one or more of the following: unfair prejudice, confusing the issues, misleading the jury, undue delay, wasting time, or needlessly presenting
That
cumulative evidence.
makes a lot of sense.
Guys, I mean, they actually may get away with this. Again, I want to make it clear. I think Kohberger deserves to have every piece of information that they used.
100%, dude. Yeah, like that. It muddies the water on their side for not doing that. Like, at the end of the day, if you have enough to prove that this guy is your culprit, like, you shouldn't be trying to do anything shady on the side, because that makes everyone worry. And it is making everyone worry. People are freaking the fuck out about this shit.
People are still getting confused about the informant. The informant is the whoever they use to build that family tree to confirm their suspicion to that it was Bryan Kohberger. That's the informant. They're actually labeled genetic informants when
the terminology is super weird on it. Like, if I hear the word informant, I'm not thinking anything like this.
To be clear, that's the thing. That's exactly the point, right? It's very vague as well. Though even the law is vague. It's possible that Bryan Kohberger's defense could fight this and get it, because I mean, they don't necessarily say that what I said is considered an informant, right? That's nowhere in here. It's very vague.
It is.
So, and it's purposely vague. That's what I mean. The law itself is, in a lot of ways, depending on probably the laws that you're reading, is open to interpretation. I mean, that's why the defense is compelling them to give this stuff up, and they're saying no, we don't have to.
Well, that's why we have these arguments too, and then we'll have a judge or a court actually rule on it. Exactly. We see that all the time, and I mean, and that's why that's why it's fun to actually debate it and watch debates online by people that have different perspectives, because at the end of the day, we don't really know what's going to happen.
Yep.
It's crazy, but I mean, dude, the more like you've talked to me today, because I mean, we kind of both know where we both sit on this thing, you know, but at the end of the day, this dude needs to have all the information, all the possibility to fight this in court, because you know what, man, it's not been proved. Nothing's actually, it just muddies, I hate to repeat that, but that's what it does. It muddies the fucking water, and it gets everybody hyped up, and you have the mainstream media is doing it, but then you've got everyone online just freaking the hell out, and they don't know where to go or what to do. But when you really kind of break it down, it actually makes sense. And a lot of the stuff makes sense, but then there's some stuff that is worded specifically vaguely or to stretch out more time. Like, it's fucking weird, man.
There's another huge point to make. This is actually not the first time that they have decided to exclude their DNA research from their documentation. Okay, so 2 search warrants, one for Bryan Kohberger's apartment, one for Bryan Kohberger's office.
Yeah, I've got that.
Both of them explicitly asked the court to not use the DNA evidence that they have in their decision for these search warrants. Why on earth would they do that?
That makes no sense.
It's all the way at the bottom. So they spell out their probable cause for these search warrants in these documents, right? But at the very bottom, this is very strange. Right here, the last two paragraphs. The information being provided by the court pursuant to my duty and obligation to be fully candid with the court. I do not believe this information is exculpatory for the suspect. However, if the court believes it is exculpatory, then the court should consider this supplemental disclosure in its evaluation of the existence of probable cause or lack thereof. But I am specifically, actually, I want to read the part right above that too, because that's where they actually mention the DNA profile. So on December 27, 2022, law enforcement agents, officers in Pennsylvania recovered trash that originate. Again, they don't mention this this genetic genealogy research. They only ever mention the connection to Bryan Kohberger's father. All right, so where they got the trash, where hopefully, supposedly, they legally got the trash. I'll be interested in that. I'm echoing.
Are you?
I don't know if I'm echoing or it's static. Maybe I'll pop out and back in real quick.
Wouldn't be a show without some technical issues.
It does. It happens every single show.
I'm just making sure there's nothing extra in here. Right. You should be good.
All right. Let's see. What was I saying? Yeah, they only ever mentioned the tie to Kohberger's father. They never mentioned the genetic genealogy research. I was saying hopefully they actually. Well, now it says static bad. Is this the same scene we were on?
Yeah, this is the scene we were using.
Damn.
Let me fix it. Hold on. It might work for you guys.
It also could have still been delay from before. Oh, it sounds better. Good.
Nice.
God, I've tried to make that point. This is the third time.
One more time.
What was I saying?
Start from the top.
Oh man. Oh yeah, I was saying how I hope they legally obtain that the DNA from the trash, because that could be a real issue.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. Like, what if that's part of it, dude?
Well, I don't think it is. I think that they've probably handed that over. All right. I think the genetic genealogy thing is it's a different thing. I've kind of narrowed it down, in my opinion, in my interpretation of what they're talking about anyway. I think that they're talking about specifically where they built the family tree part, right? I think that the DNA connection to his father is too significant for them to not use it in the trial, right?
Yeah.
That would be insane.
Like, that's one of the biggest things that pops out of the original affidavit.
Yeah, I think they're being very specific in what they're talking about, and it's kind of getting misinterpreted and blown out of the water. That's my opinion. That's my interpretation, right? I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong on this.
Yeah.
But anyway, so here's where they're talking about where they get the DNA from the trash. It was compared to the suspect DNA profile. The lab personnel concluded that the source of the trash DNA profile was male and was not being excluded as the biological father of the source. We've all heard this before, right? So then they go on to say they do not, and they're actually explicitly saying they believe it to not be exculpatory. Well, if they illegally got it, it could be exculpatory. But if we scroll down a little bit.
I mean, dude, we've talked about this before when it was all coming out and everybody was ramping up about the exculpatory stuff, and that's still what's actually happening right now. But I mean, dude, why would they embarrass themselves by going down these roads? But the only thing that's actually happening, it's kind of on more of the embarrassing shady shot, is the state.
I know, man.
It's fucking weird, dude. The whole thing's weird. Like,
so this last paragraph here is the weirdest part. I am specifically asking the court to not consider this supplemental disclosure as evidence. The supplemental disclosure meaning the part where they talked about the DNA. Seriously, it's static again?
Weird.
I don't know. Unless it's somebody else.
Somebody might be like back. You know how that happens sometimes? I saw one person say the static.
Yeah, I
think you're good. Anyone else got static? I think it's just her. I think Coco, I think you're back a little bit from when the static was there.
Yeah, we get it fixed. All right. Anyway, God, I wish I could get through this without static.
Not that she can hear me if she's watching it back in time.
Yeah.
Go.
Shit. Okay, so they're specifically asking to not consider the supplemental disclosure as evidence supporting the existence of probable cause. The reason for this request is that if DNA test results are held inadmissible at some point, such a ruling would not impact the finding of probable cause for this warrant. So long as the court is satisfied as the probable causes or cause regardless of the DNA test result. Fucking weird, right? They're already kind of suspecting that the DNA might get thrown out or something.
Yeah, dude.
Super strange.
Asking for that to be the disclosure as evidence of supporting the existence of probable cause.
And they did this in 2 documents. They did this in both of the search warrants for Bryan Kohberger in Washington, the apartment and the office.
Yeah, here's the other one.
Insane, man. It's so strange.
Is it at the very end too?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, same exact line.
Yep. And the of course they do use the DNA stuff where they compare the DNA profile from the sheath to Bryan Kohberger's father's DNA. They use that in the PCA, in the probable cause affidavit. But again, they never use this genetic genealogy process that they basically, like I said, I think they use it to kind of confirm their suspicions. I think they had Kohberger in their sight. They used it to confirm their suspicions. And then they basically were like, oh, well, we don't need this. We're done. We got the father's profile. We've matched it. That he's the father of the suspect. We're good to go. Let's rock and roll. Get the arrest warrant. Arrest the man. Now it's kind of coming back.
I've said this before, dude. And it's happened numerous times. They get somebody in this position. They start. It's a state with the death penalty. I don't think that they thought it would go this far. I think that they thought if they have their man, and he knows they got their man, eventually maybe there'll be some kind of ploy at first the way he was doing. But dude, he's going all the way through right now. And I think they think that he would have probably taken a plea early. I really do. Like, that's the vibe it's coming through now also. It's crazy. And now they're stuck in a spot to where like, oh shit, we kind of fucked up here.
I'll be interested to see what they do with the more detail that they're going to submit about it, because I don't know. Like I said, I think that he should get it. And
well, yeah, I should absolutely get it. Like, there shouldn't even be a question.
And again, I don't really understand why they're excluding it. I just don't. It's shady. It's weird. Like, I mean, I know that they have laws that they can reference to back up them not having to. But I mean, if they've got a case, that is ironclad, ready to go, they think they've got their man. Why do they care? I mean, I know that they're worried about the defense poking holes in it. I know they're worried about it confusing the jury. But I mean, the defense, in my opinion, the defense should have it. Because it was part of, they used it in their process to track the man down. And
it's been, I mean, basically the main point of view this entire time.
Yeah.
And yeah, Trance saying the whole body cam thing was is much more sus. That's extremely sus too. I agree. I don't buy what they're saying there.
And so they after they arrested Bryan Kohberger, I'm sure they got a search warrant to get his DNA directly from the source, right? So they no longer need the father's DNA. Now they can, because they still have the profile from the sheath. Now they can link him directly to it, right?
Right.
They're obviously
going
to use that. They're going to use that in the trial. They will, I would imagine, use
one thing
the father's stuff too, because they have to, because it was in the PCA. They have to use that part. They can't exclude that.
This was a question that we had, or I had, and I think that we were talking about it, but I wanted to show this real quick. Yeah. The camera here. So this was something I think I even asked this on one of Sleuthy's posts. And the Crime Diva here was asking this on Twitter. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the original DNA you claim to have in order to arrest someone does not get tossed to the side once you collect some new DNA. I mean, wouldn't that be an easy way to frame someone if you don't have to prove the original sample is legit? And that's something that I asked another lawyer. It wasn't this lady, not the Sarah one. She's badass too. But the Burkhart lady, I was asking her basically a similar form of this question. And then Sarah Azari says, correct, nor can you withhold scientific evidence that led to PC to get arrest warrants simply because you have better evidence now and may not use it at trial. In general, if the prosecution has terms of evidence that were used for the investigation in the case, they must turn it over. Rules govern when. They certainly have an obligation to produce exculpatory evidence. So,
and again,
personally,
this is where I think there's a misinterpretation. They are not throwing out the original DNA that they got for the probable cause. Like I said, the genealogy report has nothing to do with Kohberger's father, the way I'm understanding it. Nothing to do with him. They have to use that because it's in the probable cause affidavit. That will be used. That has been turned over. What they're refusing to turn over is just the part in between, where they used it to query 23andMe, for example. That's the only part they're talking about excluding.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
God, so much confusion, and it's easy to do. I mean, I'm basically confused at all times, dude. That's why I like to look at the professionals in these spaces, kind of like go out. Dude, I like to watch these professionals because they'll have different opinions too. It's not cut and dry out there either with these lawyers. They all have their own little, like I watch it all day long on Twitter, man. They're clashing, and it's fun to watch, honestly. Because everyone has a slightly different opinion or a different skewed viewpoint for one reason or the other. It's interesting. It's super interesting. I'm glad that you're fully on board, though, because, man, your investigative skills are fucking great.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the court's going to have final say on whether it's going to be handed over or not. It's going to be their decision, and it'll be final. But yeah, and I also want to make it very clear. I hope people in here are listening. They're not throwing out the sheath DNA. They're not doing that. They're not throwing that out. I know that. I promise you. I would bet money on it.
Don't get too crazy.
It's not happening.
Don't even
I almost went crazy. But they're not throwing that out. I've seen, I think, 2 or 3 videos now from other creators saying, "Oh, well, they're not using the DNA evidence. What's going on?" They are still using the DNA evidence. Genetic genealogy is not all DNA in terms of the way this is worded. In terms of this document.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. I'm trying to look through here a little bit of the comments. They're a little bit out of control. Thank you all again for being here. Appreciate it. Tuesday night's gotten a little wild. Again, once a doc drop happens, that's usually what happens. Try to go over it. This came out yesterday. I didn't want to just jump on here. I wanted to get a little bit of an understanding of this. I've done that in the past and looked pretty foolish because I didn't know what the fuck was going on. So definitely want to try to get a little bit of a scope on what's going on some of this stuff. I think Dan did a fucking awesome job of it. And I really like being able to correspond back and forth with you as well.
Yeah, I went deep on this one.
You did? Dude, once I sent you the whatever the last drop last week was, you're like, dude.
Well, and then when this came out last night, dude, because I kind of did what everybody else did. I had a knee-jerk reaction. I was like, whoa, what? This is insane. And then, you read the raw laws that are referenced in the document, and it helps a little bit, but it's still insane. It's still like it doesn't explain the entire scenario. It still doesn't make sense that they're not handing it over. I mean, I can make sense of it, right? Kind of, but in my opinion, it's not fair. And yeah, the body cam stuff too is super weird. That stuff
don't make no damn sense. P Fox question: wouldn't the defense want to know how many others, if any, hits on others? I'll use the word families that genealogy hit on.
How many others, if any, hits on others? Yeah, I mean that's. I think that's something that they're maybe worried about, right? They're worried about the defense being able to poke holes into this thing.
Yeah, they don't want that, and that's and Kohberger's got some good attorneys right now. 2 badass attorneys.
And it will be used against them. It's like them handing this over, it's immediately going to be used against them. I mean, they cite the correct laws for why they don't want to hand it over, right? Like confusing the jury, right? It's going to confuse the jury. I guarantee it.
I couldn't imagine,
especially as the defense pokes holes in it.
I couldn't imagine being on this one, dude. Like, it's gonna be crazy. I see that. Hold on, Detective John said he has my number. I'm really him. People just call me. I have been emailing with. I'm thinking it's probably the same dude. It probably is Detective John. And I do have this number. I'm going to verify that, and then we'll get Detective John on here. And the guy that I was emailing with said, he liked our style, he liked what was going on, and I've liked Detective John on T-Rev, so I would totally have him on here to talk. But I'll do that verification. And I'm not trying to be rude to you. I'm just honest to God. There's been way too much fucking bullshit, and I've been tricked. I've totally been tricked in here. And I'm trying to not let that happen again. But we'll make that happen. So I think
another thing I want to make clear, because I've seen it in the comments. They're not using this as evidence. They are asking the courts to exclude it, but they're not using it as evidence themselves. They're throwing out their own. I mean, technically, the way they're looking at it isn't evidence. It just, like I said, they used it to confirm their suspicion. They didn't actually use it as that. They didn't, for example, they didn't test the DNA for this sole purpose. Which if they did, then it may fall under tests and examinations, that rule that they referenced, right? It's kind of sneaky, it seems like, the way this thing is played out.
It feels weird.
Again,
it already feels like a fucking movie.
That's how we kind of mentioned at the very beginning of reading the document, is how sneaky and yeah, it's very suspicious. Like it's weird as hell. I don't know.
Craziness.
They didn't use it to get the warrant either. Not the genealogy stuff. I mean, I can go on and on forever about this. It's they use the dad's DNA. That's not part of the genealogy research that they're specifically talking about.
This is gun country.
In this document.
This is gun country.
You know what I'm gonna have to do, dude? I've got to get some more sound. I've got to set my fucking thing up. I've got to take some time, dude. I need to take some time off work. I need to take a vacation, like a literal week, to just work on getting everything like perfect. Like
to work on your.
Like every day I work 40 hours. I don't work 40 hours in a day. Every day I work, and I work 40 hours a week. So like every day I just come home and I'm working down here. I need to like take a second to really just get it all organized. I think that's what I'm gonna do this year for my vacation. Ain't going nowheres. Yeah, this shit's crazy, man. It's been a banger ass episode too. And thank you guys all for hanging out. We'll be hanging out for maybe just another minute or two here. Again, it's late on a Tuesday night. Went a little later tonight per usual. Yeah, please follow me on Twitter there, guys. I get a little bit crazy on Twitter. That's where I pretty much am posting all day long. I talk a lot of shit on Twitter. I get a little bit crazy on there. Really just fun though. But yeah, Thursday night, 9 p.m. Make sure you tune in. Gonna have a good show. Friday night though. Friday night's the 5K special. We're gonna be having a good time. I'm excited. Jay from the Shaming of Jay is gonna be coming through. Go follow him as well. I will pop his channel up here just so you can see it. He streams every single day, except weekends, and he's doing a lot of trials. And I think he's about to start a new trial here soon. But he's a hilarious guy, man. I would say also follow this dude on Twitter. Awesome dude. Awesome. He rules. And he's growing fast too. He's only been on YouTube for like a month maybe, and he's already at 2K. But yeah, Jay's going to be hanging out Friday. I'm super excited about that. He was on another show about 2 weeks ago now. One of the funnest shows that we've had. And again, it's the 5K special. It's going to be a little something different from us. If you guys have watched any of our specials in the past, the two that I'm really thinking about is the St. Patrick's Day special, which was an absolute blast, and then the 420 special, again, was an absolute blast. This is going to be something similar to that, but also completely different. Like, I'm trying to work out something cool, and I think everyone will enjoy it, so please make sure you come by, and yeah, if things keep going the way they're going, won't be too long to we're celebrating 6K, so.
It's growing fast, and it just keeps going. We appreciate everyone coming through and subbing and
P. Fox. Dan, you missed your calling. Supporting. I think he could have been a lawyer.
I couldn't be a lawyer. I get too hot. I get. I have a bad temper, to be fair.
Oh my God, Morgan Lowe coming through right now, being a Buzz to Confuse member. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the hell out of that. Love it.
Welcome to the party, pal.
That's awesome. Hell yeah. Appreciate it, brother. Kind of looking through here, just seeing if I can see anything else real quick. Again, thank you guys all for hanging out tonight. Been a wild one. Keister Bunny says she can confirm it's Detective John. I just want to make sure we're closing her down tonight.
But Detective John.
Huh?
People are so mad we're not Detective John.
Hey, I'm not trying to hurt Detective John. I like Detective John.
Shit.
I'm going to verify this. Give me some time. Let me make it sure, guys. I've literally been embarrassed on here too many times. I ain't letting it happen again.
We're also not prepared to take calls. Last time we tried to take calls, it turned
That's
into
true.
a fucking mess.
That's true. It's going to happen. I'm going to make sure that's my man. We've been emailing. I like the dude. I liked him when I've heard him talk on T-Rev. So, and hell, I would love to talk to a detective on here. I think that'd add a lot of credence to a lot of this stuff. That'd be cool. Last time I was in here, I was getting fooled by some fake harsh reality guy.
Yeah. I mean, I believe it's him. But
I believe it's him too. My fear right now is I get somebody that's just random and they just start saying the most crazy shit on my channel.
That's not my fear. Is we don't have it set
hang
up.
up on me if it's not.
It's not even possible to do it right now. It really.
Yeah, right now we didn't actually set it up.
It would take us at least 30 minutes to an hour to set it up, and we ain't got that kind of time.
Now we'll get it going for sure. Oh my God! No, his feelings aren't hurt. Let's calm down. Let's all calm down here.
It'll be all right.
Yeah, Jay, let me drop his link. Good call, Mandy. Yeah, follow fucking Jay.
He said he's got a bombshell to drop. I'd be curious to hear it.
Jay rules.
Don't take it to any other channels. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. Because we won't be back on until Thursday. So if you've got a bomb to drop,
I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just trying to be cautious. All right, he's good. We'll
save it.
He's good to go. Well, you know what? That's going to hype it up for later. Make sure you keep watching Publicly Buzz because Detective Job is going to come through.
Keep the suspense, baby.
That's what the hell's going to happen. You want Detective John soon? Get these likes to 200. We're at 187 sitting there. Play that YouTube game. Now, thank you guys so much for hanging out. It's been a fucking banger-ass show. You guys rule, per usual. Again, Thursday, Friday, going to be dope. Going to be some good shows this week. Feral Friday, that's what the people are calling it. That's not what we call it. It has been deemed that by the public. So make sure you guys come through 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah, I'm going to really turn this thing down. I'm the worst at ending this because the hype keeps coming. And there's fucking 350 people in here. It's hard to turn that thing off, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, look at this Morgan coming through. What's egg on your face one more time? But no, Detective John, I'm gonna email him. I'm gonna see what's up. I'm gonna talk to him on the phone for real. And make sure we're good. And
we'll set it up. It'll happen.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be dank. You want to end anything? You want to say anything else, Dan?
Not really. I'm exhausted.
Dude,
it took a lot of work. I built that thing up all day.
Dan, this show was Dan's.
Ready to rock.
This show was Dan's, guys. He built this whole thing. It was awesome. I'm really proud. I was happy to do it because I mean, again, he's diving in. Like, I love it, man. Like, it's good stuff. But yeah, Thursday night, guys, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Friday, Feral Friday. We'll see you then. Thank you all so much.
Love you guys.
See, we shoot them up, bang, bang over here. We not scared of they motherfucking ass.